Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a massive, comprehensive list of agricultural definitions and, well, transforming them into a fascinating, logical journey. We're going to zoom literally all the way in on a single root and then scale right back out to the entire Earth's ecosystem. It's just an incredible story of human engineering meeting natural science.
Okay, let's just dive right into this progression. Here's our agenda for today. 1. The science of agriculture. 2. Classifying our crops. 3. Preparing the soil. 4. The cropping puzzle. 5. Methods of farming. And finally 6. The future of farming. So, we'll start at the micro level with the basic science, scale up through soil prep and farm management, and eventually zoom out to global sustainability. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The science of agriculture. We're beginning under the broad umbrella of agriculture itself. The word actually comes from two Latin roots, ager, meaning soil, and cultura, meaning cultivation. So it naturally encompasses crop production, livestock, forestry, fisheries, and the whole shebang. But cultivating that soil, it is absolutely critical for our survival. And man, it comes with some severe structural challenges. Take the specific problems facing Indian agriculture, for example. These farmers are dealing with highly fragmented land holdings, meaning they're working these tiny, divided plots. They're heavily dependent on unpredictable seasonal rainfall, which, as you can guess, leads to low land productivity. On top of that, you've got economic issues like increasing disguised unemployment and a totally disorderly agricultural market. Honestly, it's an immensely difficult system to manage.
So to overcome diverse global challenges like these, humanity engineered some highly specialized subdisciplines. Because let's be real, agriculture isn't just planting seeds in the dirt anymore. We branched out into entirely different systems. We have silviculture for cultivating forest trees, sericulture for rearing silkworms, you've got apiculture for honeybee colonies, viticulture specifically for grapes, and pomology focusing on fruit production and harvest. Literally every single biological need has its own dedicated science.
Now, what is really truly fascinating is how our science has even evolved past the ager, the soil, entirely. We've developed aeroponics. This is the process of growing plants in an air or mist environment, completely without the use of soil or any aggregate medium. No soil at all. We have literally taken farming into thin air. How cool is that?
Moving right along to Section 2, Classifying Our Crops. Let's see how all this builds into the physical categorization of that vast array of greenery that makes up the food in your kitchen and the clothes on your back.
A farmer's absolute biggest constraint is time. Time dictates when crops can even survive. So we categorize these growing seasons strictly. First up, we have the kharif, or monsoon crops, grown from June to October or November. These guys require warm, wet weather. Think cotton and rice. On the flip side, we have the rabi, or winter crops, grown from October all the way to March. These need cold, dry weather, like wheat and gram. Actually, it's pretty simple. You can't fight the weather, so you just have to plan around it.
Beyond just the seasons, crops are categorized by their agronomic value, which is essentially what they provide to us. Just notice the sheer variety here. We've got cereals like rice and wheat, the starchy grasses that basically feed the world. There are millets, serving as a vital staple for poorer populations like pearl millet in Rajasthan. Then you have pulses. These are grain legumes that are the absolute cheapest source of protein, and get this, they actually enrich the soil they grow in. We also cultivate oilseed crops for fats and industrial use, tuber crops like potatoes and tapioca, fiber crops like cotton, lint, and jute for our clothes, and plantation crops for your morning tea leaf, coffee seed, or rubber milk.
All right, Section 3, Preparing the Soil. Because once a farmer decides exactly what category of crop to plant and when the season is right, they must physically prepare the earth itself. And that brings us to a really fundamental concept, tillage. Tillage is simply the mechanical manipulation of the soil using tools and implements. The entire goal of all this heavy labor is to obtain conditions that are absolutely ideal for a seed to germinate and establish itself. When you successfully till the land, that resulting physical condition of the soil, that's called tilth. So achieving good tilth essentially means you've set the perfect stage for life to begin.
But tillage is definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a really delicate balancing act. Take zero tillage, for instance. This is a method where you plant the new crop right into the residues of the previous one without disturbing the soil at all. The advantages? They're great. You get way more earthworms, increased organic matter, and surface runoff is significantly reduced. But the trade-off? Well, you have to apply much higher amounts of nitrogen for mineralization, plus you run a serious risk of aggressive perennial weeds and a high number of volunteer plants and pests. Basically, every farming decision has a biological cost.
This leads us perfectly into Section 4, the cropping puzzle. The crucial point here is that once your soil is prepared, farming actually becomes this highly strategic, spatial, and temporal jigsaw puzzle to maximize production.
We actually measure the efficiency of this puzzle through something called cropping intensity. And incredibly, in regions like Punjab and Tamil Nadu, farmers cultivate their land so intensely that their cropping intensity reaches up to 140 to 150% annually. I mean, that's wild. They're getting far more than a single yield out of their land every single year. So how exactly do they achieve this kind of math? Through some brilliant temporal engineering, like relay cropping. Here is how it works. Step 1, a farmer grows a long-duration standing crop like paddy. Then, step 2, right before that previous crop is even harvested, they sow the succeeding crop, like lucerne, right into the field. They are literally overlapping life cycles just to save precious time.
And farmers also play with space, not just time. Spatially, this puzzle can look like multi-story cropping, where they layer crops of different heights simultaneously on the same land. Think about literally stacking coconut, pepper, cocoa, and pineapple in vertical layers. Or they might use synergistic cropping, where the combination of two crops, like sugarcane and potato, actually yields more together than they ever would have planted apart. It's just incredible biological teamwork.
Section 5, methods of farming. Now, all of these intricate puzzle pieces, the timing, the stacking, the soil prep, they're all ultimately governed by our planet's most critical and sometimes scarce resource, water. Water availability violently splits the farming world into distinct methods based on one critical threshold, 750 millimeters of annual rainfall. If you get less than that, you're doing dryland farming. You're entirely dependent on erratic rain, and your crops will frequently face moisture stress. But if you get more than 750 millimeters, you're in rain-fed farming territory. Here, moisture stress is minimal, and the farmer's primary focus shifts from just trying to get water to actually conserving the soil itself.
To weather these environmental extremes and ensure a livelihood, farmers structure their businesses in a few different ways. They might choose specialized farming, where 50% or more of their total income relies on a single powerhouse crop. If that's just too risky, they might use diversified farming, where no single source equals 50% of the total income. Or they might pivot entirely to mixed farming, which includes crops, livestock, poultry, fisheries, and even beekeeping. The main objective of mixed farming isn't massive profit, it's total subsistence for the farm family.
Which brings us to Section 6, the future of farming. This is our final, macro-level perspective on how humanity is evolving these methods to safeguard the planet.
Because of the immense strain agriculture puts on the Earth, there is a massive global shift towards sustainability. We absolutely have to meet today's needs without degrading the resource base for future generations. This shift takes a few forms. Sustainable agriculture focuses on minimal tillage and minimal synthetic reliance. Organic farming takes it a step further, fully excluding synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, and growth regulators. And eco-farming focuses on mutually reinforcing ecological approaches to food production.
The philosophy behind eco-farming is beautifully simple, and it captures this whole ecosystem approach. The watchword is literally, feed the soil, not the plant. The idea is that you maintain the soil chemically, biologically, and physically exactly the way nature would if left alone. If you take proper care of the soil, well, the soil will naturally take proper care of the plants. This philosophy is fully realized in a concept called permaculture. In 1978, ecologist Bill Mollison defined it as a design system for creating sustainable human environments. It uses ecology as the absolute basis for designing integrated systems of food production, housing, appropriate technology, and community development. It's all about permanent human survival. So, having zoomed all the way out from the science of a single germinating seed to the permanent survival of the Earth's ecosystems, we have to ask a final question. If systems like permaculture are built on an ethic of caring for the Earth in mutually beneficial ways, how do the daily choices on your dinner plate impact the permanence of our agricultural culture? It's definitely something to think about the next time you sit down to eat. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.